You ever scroll through your Instagram feed and think, how in the world did they know I was just thinking about vintage cameras? Like, it's spooky. Well, get ready to demystify that black box we call the Instagram algorithm. Today's deep dive is all about understanding how it works.
And the cool thing is we've got Adam Mosseri himself to guide us. His blog post, Instagram Ranking Explained, is like a treasure trove of insights.
Exactly. And he starts by busting a major myth, that single, all-knowing algorithm myth. It turns out Instagram doesn't have just one algorithm, but several, each fine-tuned for different parts of the app.
Which, makes sense if you think about it. Because, like, your main feed is kind of like your own personal news feed, balancing posts from people you follow with posts Instagram thinks you'll like. Stories, though, totally different story. They're all about those close connections, so they prioritize views and interactions you have with specific accounts.
And then you've got Explore, almost like that Trending Now tab. Explore's algorithm seems laser-focused on introducing you to stuff that's already making waves, even if it's from accounts you haven't followed yet.
Right. It's all about discovery. And of course, we can't forget Reels, the entertainment center of Instagram. Reels heavily rely on direct feedback from, well, users like you and me to fine-tune what pops up.
It's true. I spend way too much time watching Reels. But okay, let's unpack these algorithms one by one, starting with the feed. I'm really curious about the sheer volume of factors, or signals as they call them, that come into play. I mean, we're talking thousands of data points, like everything from your activity to the accounts you interact with, even down to stuff like what kind of device you're using or if you tend to watch more videos.
It's actually pretty amazing.
Okay, now that's where things get really wild for me. I get how, say, liking a ton of baking videos might mean more of those show up. But the device I'm using, what's that got to do with anything?
Well, see, it's all about understanding those teeny tiny usage patterns that we all have. Like, are you more likely to watch a longer video when you're on a tablet? Or maybe you're someone who engages more with shopping posts on your phone. These are the kinds of details Instagram is picking up on.
Wow, it's mind-blowing how granular it gets.
Yeah.
Out of all those signals, though, what actually carries the most weight?
Your activity.
Yeah.
What you like, what you share, the comments you leave, even something as simple as how long you watch a video for. These are the strongest signs of your interests, really. Instagram's algorithms are all about prioritizing content you've already shown you're into, especially from accounts you already follow.
So, like, if I'm constantly liking this amazing photographer's work, it actually helps to, like, double-tap those photos and maybe even leave a comment every now and then.
Fun, 100%. And that actually brings us to another really interesting piece of how the feed ranking works, this concept of recency. See, it's not just about showing you the absolute newest posts first. It's smarter than that. Instagram actually looks at your usage patterns to figure out when you're most likely to be online and then prioritizes posts from that time frame.
Hold on. So you're telling me that a post from, let's say, that photographer I mentioned, it might show up higher in my feed even if it's a few hours old? Just because the algorithms figured out that I tend to check Instagram during my lunch break.
You got it.
That's wild. I mean, it's like Instagram's learning my schedule. Not gonna lie, though, as someone who's been known to fall down the rabbit hole of scrolling through old posts, this makes me appreciate the algorithm a little bit more.
It's a delicate balancing act, really. Got to keep things fresh, but also make sure you don't miss out on stuff from accounts you genuinely care about.
Totally. Now, we talked about how the feed is all about your established connections and the algorithm's best guesses about your interests. But stories seem to take a different approach. They put a premium on your inner circle.
Yeah.
Those people you're closest to.
Right.
And this is where I'm really curious about this closeness signal. So is Instagram basically analyzing my digital love life now? I mean, if I'm liking someone's posts and sliding into their DMs, I'm guessing that's a pretty strong signal that I want to see their stories, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Instagram looks at who you message the most, who you're tagged in photos with. They even factor in if you've connected your contacts list.
Oh, wow.
It's wild. They're trying to map out those real-life relationships and then basically reflect them in your digital world.
So Instagram's like playing digital Cupid now. And I guess that means my love life is officially in the hands of the algorithm. But speaking of algorithms, let's move on to Explore. If the feed is my personalized news feed, Explore feels more like that Trending Now tab, right?
Yeah.
It's showing me all this content from accounts I don't even follow. So how does Instagram even begin to figure out what I'd want to see there?
Well, Explore definitely relies on predicting your interests too. But unlike the feed, which is all about prioritizing those accounts you've already decided to follow, Explore is more about unearthing content that's already got some serious buzz. It's kind of like Instagram saying, hey, check this out. Everyone else is. It's blowing up.
Okay, so it's less about me specifically and more about what's grabbing everyone's attention.
Exactly. A big signal for Explore is how fast a post gets engagement. Like, how quickly does it rack up likes and comments? If a post from, let's say, a baking account, one you don't even follow, is going viral, bam, Explore's more likely to put it on your radar.
Yeah.
It's all about introducing you to new creators and content you might have totally missed otherwise.
That makes sense. I've definitely gone down some unexpected rabbit holes in Explore that turned out to be super interesting. It's kind of like this whole secret world of hidden gems just waiting to be found.
Totally. And that brings us to another fascinating thing about Explore, which is how visual it is. The algorithm really seems to favor posts that are, well, visually appealing. It's almost like it understands that a really striking image or video is what's going to grab our attention first.
You're preaching to the choir. So basically what you're saying is that a really gorgeous food photo has a better chance of popping up in my Explore feed than, say, a super text-heavy post about, I don't know, the history of sourdough bread,
Yeah,
even if I am a total baking nerd.
you nailed it. Visuals are a huge deal for Explore's ranking system. But hey, we can't wrap up this algorithm tour without talking about Reels, those short little videos that have taken over the internet, right? Well, they've got their own unique ranking system too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Reels definitely feel like the place where entertainment takes center stage. Is that why they often remind me of Explore? Like I'm constantly seeing content from accounts I don't follow, but could totally see myself getting into?
You're right on the money. Reels and Explore actually do share some similarities when it comes to their ranking algorithms. Both are really focused on surfacing those new creators and content based on, well, what Instagram thinks you'll like. But here's where things get really interesting. With Reels, Instagram actually surveys users about their experience.
Wait, really? Like they're asking, did you enjoy this reel? Was it worth your time?
Exactly. They want to know if it was actually entertaining, if you learned something new, or if it was just meh. This feedback loop allows them to constantly tweak their algorithm and make sure they're showing you the most engaging reels possible.
I've got to hand it to them. That's a pretty smart move.
Yeah.
It's like they're crowdsourcing those algorithm tweaks to make sure people are genuinely entertained and not just stuck in that endless scroll. But speaking of endless scrolling, this whole conversation about algorithms can feel kind of overwhelming, you know?
Yeah.
It's like we're at the mercy of this code that just feeds us content, whether we actually want it or not.
I get it. It's a common feeling. But the good news is you're not powerless. In his blog post, Adam Mosseri actually spends a lot of time talking about how Instagram's trying to give users more control of their experience. There are tools, and it's all about learning how to use them to curate more intentional and ultimately enjoyable experience.
So what you're saying is we're not just along for the ride on this algorithm-driven roller coaster.
Yeah.
There are ways to actually steer. Tell me everything, because I am so ready to reclaim my feed.
It starts with recognizing the power you do have. For instance, have you ever used features like favorites and close friends? They're there to help you prioritize that content from your VIPs, the people whose posts you never want to miss. And what about when you just need a break from a certain topic or account that's maybe taking over your feed? That's what muting and unfollowing are for.
Yo, mute is my go-to.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need a break without, making it a whole thing. But, okay, I got to ask, what about this whole shadow ban thing? It's like the boogeyman of Instagram. Everyone's whispering about it, convinced their content's being buried, but can anyone actually prove it's real? Does Mosseri finally address the elephant, or should I say the shadow in the room?
He doesn't actually use the word shadow ban directly, but he definitely tackles those community concerns head on about, those unexplainable dips in reach that people are freaking out about.
Okay, so give it to me straight. Is shadow banning real? Or is it all in our heads? Is it just our collective Instagram anxieties getting the best of us?
Well, Mosseri's stance is pretty clear. Instagram wants its creators to do well. Why? Because when the community's thriving, it means more awesome, engaging content, which means users like us keep coming back for more. Everyone wins, right?
True. Makes sense from a business perspective. But what about those sudden drops in reach that have so many creators panicking? Like, how does that fit into this whole "we want you to succeed" thing?
That's where the account status tool comes in. Think of it like a backstage pass to see how Instagram views your account.
So instead of freaking out about this mythical shadow ban, I can just go into my account status and see if there's actually something affecting my reach. That's a game changer.
Right. It takes out all the guesswork. And knowledge is power, right? Account status can give you a clear picture of what's going on behind the scenes.
I like it.
Like maybe a recent post accidentally went against those community guidelines, or maybe there's just like a technical glitch that's messing with your content's visibility. This will tell you.
That is huge. It's like suddenly we're not just like at the whim of the algorithm, we can actually be proactive.
100%.
Yeah.
And you know what? Instagram's even experimenting with some new notifications that'll actually tell creators if a reel's reach is limited because of something as honestly small as like a watermark.
No way, seriously.
Yeah.
See, stuff like that is so helpful. No more guessing games.
After this deep dive, I feel like I've had a light bulb moment. It feels way less intimidating, like it's not about trying to crack a secret code or anything. It's more about understanding the why and the how.
It's about understanding the logic, because it is logical, even if it seems random sometimes.
Totally. And look, we've learned that the algorithms are always changing and that Instagram's really trying to get this balance right between personalization and, keeping things safe and making sure we actually have some control over what we see.
Absolutely. I think the biggest takeaway for me is just remembering that we're not just passive bystanders here. We have a voice. We can engage more strategically, make use of all the tools they've given us, and actually understand the factors that are influencing, what ends up in our feeds.
Right. You're in the driver's seat. You just got to, learn the rules of the road.
Exactly. You know what? Maybe after this, I'm finally going to go and actually organize my close friends list. Or maybe I'll play around with different types of content. I don't know. See what happens. It's like I'm not just throwing spaghetti at the wall anymore, hoping something sticks. Whatever I do, I actually feel like I've got the knowledge to make it happen. No more confusion, no more mystery algorithm.
That's what we like to hear. It's all about that aha moment.
That's what it's all about. Well, thanks for joining me on this algorithm adventure. Until next time, happy scrolling, everybody.